Good morning, judges and participants of International Porsimaptar Speech Competition. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here with us today. I'm Samuel Juan as the host of today's final round. So let me explain to you the rundown of this final round. First, we'll start from the opening speech from the head of Porsimaptar English Competition, and then after the opening speech from the head of Porsimaptar English Competition, we'll start the performances from the participants, and the participants will start their performances from the first to the last order as decided before. The participants will perform in front of judges and other participants and will be given 7 minutes for their speech and 10 minutes maximum for their Q&A session with the judges. During their speech, there will be warning from the timekeeper when their speech has reached minute 4, 6, and 7. Then later, we will take a quick photo together before ending this final round. Without further ado, let's hear the opening speech from our head of Porsimaptar English Competition, First Brigadier Cadet Alcazar Ayanda. To Alcazar, time is yours.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure it is to be here with our amazing judges and our incredible participants from the neighboring countries. Welcome to Porsimaptar International Speech Competition held by Indonesia National Police Academy. Some of you might still wonder, what is Porsimaptar? Is that even a word? Porsimaptar stands for Pekan Olahraga Seni Pelajar Mahasiswa dan Taruna. Or, in a simpler English sentence, it's a week-length sport and art festival for cadets and students. Founded 21 years ago, the Indonesian National Police Academy has always successfully held the Porsimaptar event on the national level, gathering university students and cadets nationwide to compete in various types of sports and competition to promote friendly and good sportsmanship among Indonesian youth. To strengthen global cooperation, the organizing committee of the 2021 Porsimaptar English Competition wished to improve the tradition of excellence by inviting police cadets and students from other countries for an unparalleled substantive and cultural experience. On behalf of Indonesia National Police Academy and the organizing committee of Porsimaptar English Competition, we are pleased to inform you that this year's international speech competition is joined by 5 participants from 4 esteemed institutions: the University of Internal Affairs Mongolia, the Korean National Police University, the Philippines National Police Academy, and Indonesian National Police Academy. Your presence has elevated the level of competitiveness and the quality of this year's Porsimaptar. Competition is one thing, but there is another thing beyond winning the trophy: maintaining friendly relations among nations. And what could be the better time to do this other than now? As a wise king from fictional kingdom once said, in a time of crisis, the wise build bridges while the foolish build barriers. We must find a way to look for one another as we all a single tribe. We hope that this year's international speech competition will be the stepping stone for future competition alike. We realize that there are still many things to improve in this first time of ours. Therefore, we can only hope to improve. The honor to host you in this first Porsimaptar International Speech Competition will always be ours. I'm Alcazar, as the head of Porsimaptar English Competition. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, we'll move straight ahead to the first performance from the Indonesian Police Academy, Degi Rajwandi. To Degi Rajwandi, you may turn your camera on and your microphone so that we can check if it's working properly. Degi Rajwandi.
Okay, I may restart now. In 2020, the chief of Indonesian police made a report stating that the Indonesian police is lacking in numbers of its police officers. Not by much, just 270,000. Yes, the Indonesian police institution is lacking in the numbers of its police officers, and it needs more than 270,000 in order to fulfill its job effectively. The current number of officers available only makes up 61% of the needed manpower that is in the institution. And this lack of police officers will undoubtedly have consequences. According to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, understaffed police detachment can lead to low morale among the officers, less success in crime fighting, slower response time, and even neglect of reports. In other words, the police are unable to fulfill their job. Many nations around the world also faces the same problem. Countries such as the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, the Netherlands are just to name a few. In Indonesia, this has even led to neglectance of cases that made headlines in the past few days with the hashtag, "It's useless to report to the police." The thing is, the working condition in the Indonesian police is not the most ideal. Very often, do police officers have to work overtime, more than 12 hours in a day, and yet they still have to attend morning roll call at 7 a.m. This prolonged overwork leads to exhaustion, and in the long run will decrease the efficiency in their working environment that will lead to delay in solving cases, or even worse, abandonment in it. Year by year, the number of applicants enrolling in the police recruitment remains on the rise. To offer you a perspective, in Jakarta, more than 1,000 people are applying for the police academy, and yet the available slot is only 40 in a year. The reason why Indonesian police are unable to recruit more cadets is due to budget restrictions, and it is one of the most common problems that the Indonesian police has to face. They say to know where you want to go, first, you need to know where you are right now. Currently, I am on my last year in the Indonesian National Police Academy. And this means that I am a platoon commander in my junior year. It means that I have the responsibilities to lead and supervise my juniors. This is where my passion started. Spending close proximity with my juniors enlightened me that people is the most important aspect of an organization. If we want to improve upon our organization and institution, we shall invest in the people. Only then can we know and discover their talents and improve upon it. Only then can we build a strong connections, foster the same strong values, and eventually increase productivity. In the next 5 years, I wish to be lost. Yes, you heard me right. Lost. L-O-S-T. L, lead. Regardless where I will be stationed in Indonesia, once I graduate, the most common position for my rank would be to lead a platoon. Leading a platoon of cadets is one thing, but to lead a whole platoon of police officers, now that's on another level. This shall be the time when I will apply the leadership knowledge that I've been taught all the time. And I hope to prepare myself well until the time comes. Oh, optimize my resources. There is this inheritance of greatness done by my seniors that I wish to continue. They attained scholarship from the government of Indonesia to continue their master's degree abroad. As I serve my duty, I also want to use everything that I have to get the same scholarship and study in human resource management. S, study abroad. I have only experienced stories of the world through television, books, and the internet. So this one would be a dream come true for me. Human resource management can help the police institution in training, creating a good work plan, managing problems, maintaining a healthy work environment, and it also ensures that the police is working within the protocols, which is something that we all know the police needs to always stick to. Understaffed and heavy workload has taken a toll in the police force. And one of the most important aspects of human resource management is it can improve the system and boost the morale in the force so that we can realize an effective and trustworthy police institution. T, tenaciously applying my degree. What's good about studying in a world-class university if I cannot apply my knowledge that I've learned? Various types of life will touch mine when I am studying abroad. After that, it will be my time to channel it into others in my home country and institution. Of course, this all is just a plan that I made inside my heart. Something else might have been written in my book of destiny. But who knows? Maybe somewhere deep within those pages, God has simply written, as you wish, Dick, as you wish. So, in the next 5 years, for my country, I wish to be a good and knowledgeable police officer, an officer who can lead others. Thank you very much.
Okay, to Digiri Juandi, your Q&A session starts now. To all judges, if you have any questions for the participant, you may ask. For the first, maybe Mr. Andres.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity of being here. It's an honor. First of all, to congratulate Deji for for his speech. I think starting in a speech and then being stopped and then having to do it again, it already involves.
I'm sorry, sir. I cannot hear you at the moment. Please forgive me.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, great. So I was just starting by congratulating you for for starting the speech, and then you were stopped, and then you started again, right? So it's like when you start a train. When you start a train, and then it's like a lot of energy and power going in one direction, and then you stop it in one moment. Just so difficult, But then you were like strong enough to continue moving again and starting again in deliver your speech, even though we already knew a few of your things that you were going to do. I mean, you probably didn't like that, like, oh yeah, 270 and then 1,000. No, you like that kind of surprise, and then you lost because of that. But even though you had that situation, you did it nicely. I like your style a lot, and I really wish you could achieve your master's degree eventually. I think you have like a lot of dedication and passion, and you know what you're doing and where are you going. But the question I'm going to ask you is like regarding what you said. You will have a lot of leadership challenges that you will face once you are there in the ground. Then you mentioned leadership knowledge, which is useful, but leadership is not learned by reading books, but rather by experience. So it's more about leadership skill that you will need. So can you maybe give us a little bit more of examples of what are these leadership skill challenges that you will face?
Yes, thank you very much, Jad Andres. The thing is, in the police institution, as I have stated, we are lacking in manpower, and Indonesia has the 4th largest population in the world. We need to employ as much as manpower that is available to us. That is why leadership is very important to me. Yes, to get leadership skills, we need to learn it by experience. But experience and knowledge from the book and theories work hand in hand together. That is why I would like to learn it, and then I will try to get my experience. So yes, I will try my best in both ways in order to be a good leader. Thank you, Mr. Andres.
No, it's my pleasure. Inshallah, you will achieve your goals and your master's degree. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Andres, for the question. And maybe we'll move to Mrs. Sean. Do you have any question for the participant?
Thank you so much. Hi, Zegi. Thank you so much for your wonderful speech. It was so great to see you today, and it's an honor for me to be here. My question for you is, you talked a little bit about human resource management and how to meet the needs of everybody who is in the police force, because you're understaffed, you would like to lead. So my question is, what would you do differently that would boost the morale of everyone who is in the system already, and what are the initiatives that you will take?
Yes, thank you very much, Just Sean, for the question. In Polri, in police institution, many leaders are not leaders. Many of them only give orders to their subordinates. The thing is, you cannot do that, especially in a hard working environment where we are lacking in manpower. What I want to do is to create a better working environment, to get everybody on the same mission as me, not just by giving commands, but asking them, taking them with me in order to go where the Indonesian police goal is. Thank you very much, Ms. Sean.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much for Mrs. Sean for the question. And maybe last, Mrs. Alicia, do you have any question for the participant?
All right, thank you for the time. Congratulations, Degi. Nice to meet you in this beautiful event. And also, I just have one question for you. You told us about your vision about loss, and loss is about a leadership vision. And you talked before that morning roll call is not too crucial in our institution. As a leader in the future, what is the effective way for you as a leader in conducting a morning roll call? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commander Elisa. When it comes to morning roll calls, we have to know that it is mandated for the people so that everybody will get to work in time. But of course, in police, our rules are very strict. What I want to change is that we can bend it a little bit, because police officers are working overtime so often. And by giving a band of rules where they can come up a little bit late to get a good rest in their home is tolerable, especially for those who had worked overnight and need some rest. Because as we all know, in order to work as best as we can, we all need a good night rest. Thank you very much, Ms. Alicia.
Thank you for Mrs. Elisa for the question, and thank you so much for Digi Rajani for your beautiful performance. We wish you the very best of luck. And next up, we have Altang Kuyak for University of International Affairs, Mongolia. To Altang Kuyak, are you there?
May I continue the speech?
Yes, you are audible now. Maybe you can restart your performance whenever you're ready.
Sure. So, as I said before, today's discussion is about future vision policing and how it should be changed to be better and for more professional and adaptable personnel for future policing, and create more developed legal environment to cooperate with the citizens and politics, and not following the traditional methods, and have more developed digital way of policing. The first statement is that changing the educational system for policing. So we're not doing our policing, the it's the most important studying in our lifetime. So in a way of changing that, in 21st century, the century is all about digital enhancements, artificial intelligence, and etc. So as we progress and develop more into forensic science, criminal investigation, that even so the criminal ways of crime, cybercrime is more developing. And you can see it from 10 years from before and how it was from hacking, catfishing, scamming was there, and how it is now and how it will progress to more cyber crimes. And we need to prepare more IT programming engineers to fight off against cybercrime. And it's hard to find any evidence in cybercrime. Like tracking is even harder. So in that doing so, we need more ethical, legal environment to organize this cyberly. Like, for example, digital trading like crypto markets are being used worldwide. For example, in such as in Mongolia, there has been a coin made, IHC. In our population, there's 3 million people around roughly. And in 2 days, we made the coin to $10 million. So that's rough about every sorry for the disturbance during the internet connection. It's getting lost in here. So let me continue the speech. So in regarding that the coin made, in this crypto market, there is no organization in any legal form. You can get scammed, you can get hacked, potentially ruin your economic balance. So in that doing so, we need prepare more IT engineers in doing so. So in conclusion, we need to prefer more IT engineers, like have 5-year course, 1 year specifically directed to digital enhancements, like know about World Wide Web and how crypto markets work, the required knowledge to fight off against the cybercrime, to limit this action. Check. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties that has been going on for roughly about the half of the speech. So again, sorry for that. And that's my speech.
Okay, for Altankuyak, your Q&A session starts now. To all judges, you may ask the question, and maybe we'll start from Mr. Shan. Do you have any question for the participant?
Thank you. And thank you, Altan Hoyak, for your speech today. I see the topic of your of the speech today was what will you do for your country, and you spoke a little bit about how there needs to be training of IT engineers. But I think I'm still wondering, what is it that you would do for your country? Because you spoke in general about just the IT engineering structure to solve cybercrime.
So thank you for the question, Mrs. Sean. So the idea of in doing so, what will I do for my country is that we need to prepare, develop, and have more legal environments to that. And in more personal way, I would like to study for my master's degrees and study more also to work on this police. So thank you for the question.
For your answer.
Thank you, Mrs. Chan, for the question. And maybe we'll move to Mrs. Alicia. Do you have any question for the participant?
All right. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Altan. I have one question for you. You will talk about the digital of thing. And one thing that I want to connect to these questions is it still important to build the character for a police in the future, integrated with the digital era? Thank you.
So thank you for the question, Ms. Alicia. So that question you are asking is that, is it important to have digital ways of policing in studying for the police academy? Yes, I sure think so. As I mentioned before in my speech, as the time progresses, there will be more like cyber crimes to fight off against. Scamming will be more. So to lower that increasing crime rate, we need to require knowledge to have this digital way to fight off. So that's my answer.
Thank you so much for the question, Mrs. Alicia. And we'll move to Mr. Andres. You may ask the question.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to ask questions. I would say that, being here in a stage is never easy. And it's already an accomplishment, an achievement to be here trying to deliver a speech in a structured way to an international panel in an international competition. However, Altan, something I would just encourage you, if you are going to do it the best you can. And if you do it the best you can, that means that you need to rehearse and rehearse and rehearse. The golden rule is at least for every minute of your speech, you rehearse 1 hour. So your speech is 5-6 minutes, that's 5-6 hours, if you want to do a great job. So I would strongly encourage you, if for the next occasions when you need to do speeches, maybe you can practice a little bit more so we can feel your confidence, you can feel your fluency, you can feel that you already tried out many and many times. I know there might be some barriers around, probably language or other things. It's understandable. None of us, our main language is English. For example, I'm from Mexico, we speak Spanish. What is about practicing, rehearsing. But my question goes in, something you said about there is no evidence in cybercrime. There is no evidence in cybercrime. There is no way to find it. And I personally thought that was a little bit extreme. And I'm not a cyber, this is not my expertise. But I'm assuming that that's where there is like cybersecurity is growing and growing and growing and growing, and it's so more important every time. Can you please explain us a little bit of what are the alternatives or what are the options that we have, like to elaborate in this idea that there is no evidence we can find in cybercrime?
So let me get this clear. The question that you're asking is that how are we gonna fight off the crimes and cyber crimes.
Yeah,
Am
what
I
can we
correct?
do? You said like there is no evidence. Okay, there is no evidence. So what is possible? I'm not affirming that there's no evidence. I'm saying I'm just affirming what you said, and you help us understand more deeply about your idea.
So thank you for the advice earlier. So the answer is that we need more required knowledge to this. And knowledge is the power to progress. Development is key to learning.
Thank you for answering.
Okay, thank you, Altanquia, for your performance. We wish you the very best of luck. Next, we have Crisaldo Barcars from the Philippines National Police Academy. Crisaldo, are you there?
Yes, good morning, sir and Ms. Dames. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, loud and clear. Okay, to Crisaldo, time will start whenever you're ready.
Reason 5 years from now, we wish to improve resilience to efficiency. Ability for foreseeable law, civilian lives, much as we appreciate the beauty of this, it's relevant to address the dilemma of exploitation of risk that spearheads on our inability to anticipate, prepare, and respond to disasters. The Philippines is no stranger to natural disasters. Straddling the major states, the Pearl of the Orient has experienced major hurricanes, storms, earthquakes, and volcanic activity that had claimed severe damage to the lives of many Filipinos. Nevertheless, Filipinos have carried on, got back on their feet, and moved forward in the wake of every storm. Picking up windswept wood, build what was destroyed, commonplace in the post-disaster Philippines, only to be brought back down by another strong gust of wind, surge, or rise of water. And it is a cycle that continues on. Some call it as the symbol of resilience, our countrymen's trademark, and thus should be applauded. But in the highlight of this attitude is its negative connotation, that we learn from the previous catastrophe. Stronger, deadlier, and quicker in the past few years, exacerbated by the climate change intensifying. The Philippine government significant gaps are yet to be filled in disaster management capacities across different regions of the Philippines. And surprisingly, little data are available referencing local levels of disaster resilience and preparedness. Disaster risk is a product of a population's vulnerability and exposure to hazard. While disasters are clearly triggered by natural phenomenon, social factors have a significant role in people's exposure to risks and threats. A population's resilience to disasters is a similarly multifaceted concept. While a number of competing definitions of resilience are found in literature, as well as frameworks for measuring it, the terms disaster preparedness, resilience. Can you still hear me? Let me continue, sirs and dames.
Yes, you may continue your performance.
While a number of competing definitions of resilience are found in the literature, as well as frameworks for measuring it, the terms disaster preparedness, resilience, vulnerability, and sustainability are sometimes conflated or used interchangeably in research literature. We see resilience as a long-term concept that covers the full disaster continuum and includes aspects of positive transformation that enhances the ability of future generations to meet their needs. Truly, it is not just the concern of the national level, but also on the individual and personal level to be disaster resilient. We've given emphasis on proactiveness rather than being reactive. Instead of waiting for the next storm to tear the walls and then rebuild, a responsible, proactive measure fortifies the houses and safeguards the necessary provisions. Proactiveness is becoming more disaster aware, investing on more technology that prepares people and the community for incoming disasters with the effort of minimizing the risk through concerted efforts of all concerned agencies. It doesn't end with technology investment, but rather advancements in technology are only the beginning, for it is human investment that is vital in the improvement to disaster and risk reduction management. Maintaining the equilibrium between growth and sustainability is difficult to manage even at the global scale, but it's increasingly important in a naturally fragile settings which suffer from anthropological factors. To mitigate the future impacts of climate change and various hazards, ecosystem-based services and protection of natural species should be focused on, alongside mitigating the negative side effects of economic development. It is not in some distant future that this work needs to be done. Efforts have been made and initiatives have been started. 5 years from now, we won't stand alone resilient against the surge of super typhoons, earthquakes, and other calamities nature has to offer. For we will stand with a sound understanding of preparedness, response, and recovery approaches. That is, if we are to go beyond the regular, overly used notions of what is resiliency in the face of disaster and calamity. Human investment holds the promise of the future, that the efforts funneled and concentrated will now be the keys to a generation that will not stand idle to the different calamities that come our way. Instead, choose to find ways and means to give a new meaning to the resiliency of the Filipino nation. It is a challenge to learn and understand the errors that have aggravated the loss of life in a disaster that is beyond a man's control. Yet, as the saying goes, evaluated experience is the best form of learning. The past provides ample lessons that can serve as guidance and warnings for policies to truly tailor fit to the needs of a society in terms of disaster assessment and soon, management. This, I believe, is what my country deserves after 5 years. More than glorification of resiliency, it is empowerment through institutionalization of proactive platforms and programs that shall stand the strongest against all odds. Once again, good morning, sir and esteems.
Okay, for Rizaldo Barcars, your Q&A session starts now. Maybe we'll start from Mrs. Alicia. Do you have any question for the participant?
Thank you. Mr. Crisaldo, wow, what a beautiful speech, because you deliver about the global climate crisis. Now, as we know that police as the first responders as the global climate crisis. Now, would you please to give one of your briefly vision to face this challenge? And you mentioned before also about the you have to emphasize it on the management. Tell me briefly about what is the human resources management that is functionally to face this global climate crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for that question. Again, management of resources is not just limited to material things or to concrete materials, but rather, as a high-profile policeman who is supposed to enforce the law, I believe that I have the voice to push for the institutionalization and enactment of laws to employ science and technology to generate accurate data and address the conditions needed to make informed decisions for disaster risk reduction activities through national government agencies, partners in the private sector and the academy. Again, this is not just limited to our logistical supports, but rather to our support from the government. Because with the enactment and the institutionalization of laws is the recognition that disaster risk reduction management is a high concern, especially for these days.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Elisha, for the question. And we'll move to Mr. Andres. Do you have any question for the participant?
Yeah, congratulations, Mr. Crisaldo. I think you have a lot of energy, you put into your speech, and that's a great way to deliver your speech. Also, the topic is very relevant, as Ms. Elisa was saying, the topic of the challenges we're facing and the climate crisis and how is that affecting the Philippines. And it's so important because, all countries are facing the worst and we are the ones who are polluting the least, right? So it's like, we need to do something. And as you said, the best way we can do is to be prepared, to analyze our risks and take actions to make that happen. Also, I like what you said about it's not enough only to advance on technology or investing in technology. It's also, or even more important, to invest in human, in the people, because, who will use the technology anyways? So can you please give us a little bit more of examples or more ideas? How can we invest in, people, in the humanity, to be more prepared for these risks that we are facing?
Again, sir, this is not just a national concern, nor a local or regional level concern. This takes a multidisciplinary approach to the development of tools and systems for disaster prevention and mitigation through the improvement of scientific data available to various stakeholders. It uses a variety of advanced technologies to deliver accurate and reliable hazard information, such as early warning systems and hazard maps that could then be accessed on the mainstream media or applications that is highly available. I think we can best utilize the mainstream media or applications, say perhaps TikTok or other social networking site, in order to promote awareness that far from being resilient Filipinos or far from the over-exploitation of resiliency, there is a need to actually hold yourself accountable for everything. And that, I think, is what we can do for the personal level.
Thank you for your answer. And if you allow me to follow up in the question, would you, as you said, this is not just something at national level or one sector, it's multidisciplinary, multi-nations, it's global issue.
Yes.
And putting people in the same page to act together towards a goal is incredibly challenging, right? Because everyone has their own interests, their own motivations, their own challenges in their own countries or their own organizations. So how could you do this? How can you contribute to create a common ground, like a common goal, a common language that, you share together with the, with people to motivate them to move together to the same goal, to prevent the risks or, diminish the climate crisis?
Yes, thank you, sir. I will answer that, or I will provide you with two answers. First is with the enactment of laws. Disaster risk reduction may be well understood under the same standards. And another is, of course, the importance of speech. I think as a high-profile policeman with an authority, if I would just be given 1 minute to change the world, I would simply do the simple course of action of doing speech. Why? Because on that brief 1 minute, people have listened. All the disasters, the emergencies, the calamities, the racism has actually stopped because people listened. And I think with my power of delivery of speech and getting people listen to me is one of the most probable highlight of communication, which is vital in our future profession. Thank you, sir.
Thank you to you. Congratulations.
Great, thank you so much, Mr. Andres, for the question. And we'll move to Mrs. Sean. You may ask your question.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Crisaldo. This is such an important topic and also one of the world's biggest wicked problems, as they call it, because it's so complicated to mitigate and to adapt. at this time. And of course, with the Philippines being more vulnerable to natural disasters, as you've mentioned, I'm so sorry to hear that as well. But it's great that the work that you do is just incredibly important, because you're more than 7,000 islands is what I understand. So you spoke a lot about disaster response and a little bit about mitigation. So I do want to ask you, one of the points you raised in your speech today was balancing growth and sustainability. What do you think the role of the police and yourself is in making sure that not just you, but the people around you are focused on growth and sustainability together? Because typically they don't go hand in hand.
I think as a law enforcement officer, to maintain the equilibrium of growth and sustainability is really a highly challenging job. And I think efforts should be made efforts should be done not just on my level, but to actually acknowledge the fact that the police is the community and the community is the police. And I think my ability to persuade people, especially in a naturally fragile settings which suffer from anthropological factors, I would mitigate the future impacts of climate change and virus hazard based on eco-based system services and protection of natural spaces, on which I would also implement the rule of law. And once again, that would only happen upon the institutionalization and enactment of laws which place a compelling interest in the hierarchy of disaster risk reduction management.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much to Griselda Barkas for your wonderful performance. And after this, we'll have 2 minutes break as requested by Mrs. Sean, and you may break after this. Thank you. Okay, everyone, we will continue the performance. Next up, we'll have Augustine Jalagu from the Philippines National Police Academy. For Ms. Augustine, Mr. Augustine, are you there?
Good morning, sir. Ms. Dames, am I audible?
Yes, you are loud and clear, and time will start whenever you're ready, sir.
If you can find good in your own country, you won't find it anywhere else. Tempus progredi, the time has come. The Philippines is a rich frontier composed of individually unique 7,100 islands, making them embodied gems in the archipelago. The country is composed of 3 major islands, namely Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Each serves as a cradle for distinct culture and tradition, making the Philippines a diverse treasure trove for both history and society. The country's diversity is both a blessing and a challenge, paving way for an added difficulty in policing the community, especially now in the times of pandemic. As we all know, differences can sometimes be daunting, offering a wide range of possibilities and leading to different kinds of approaches. And our country, the Philippines, is no exception. But these adversaries do not seem insignificant to me at all. Alas, I see it as a pearl in the sea, a sunshine over the stormy clouds. Our diversity as Filipinos is something to be proud of, not ashamed of. The challenge of various cultures of our nation has no impact in the burning incitement and desire inside of me to serve our country. I am glad that I took the application test for our academy, and a decision in the most crucial of time, tendered by divine guidance and motivated by the love for family, God, and country. True enough, I was able to test the limit of my decision making and able to prove that a wise decision was made 4 years ago. After the arduous process, I am now a first-class cadet, a member of the ruling class, exercising my skills, sharpening my knowledge, and above all, developing my leadership, especially as a soon-to-be public safety officer and law enforcer of our country, readying myself for the high expectations of my country and my fellow men. The mandate of the police has always been centered to the community and will always go back to the community. The police, as we all know, are responsible for maintaining public order, safety, enforcing the law, preventing crimes, as well as investigating criminal activities. These functions are known as policing and is essential in the successful performance of their duties and responsibilities. Being at this critical stage of both my cadetship and my life, and pondering on the future that lies ahead, I recalibrate my vision of what I am willing to sacrifice and offer for the country. This stirred a memory of a famous president in the person of John F. Kennedy, who once said that, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. This statement is more than just a quote. Rather, this is an embodiment. I repeat, this is an embodiment put into words of how we as nation builders are fueled in doing our mandates and achieving greater heights for our country and for our people. With the clear mindset of a passionate public servant, I see myself as a police officer serving the country while at the same time improving my competency to level with my consistency. Enrolling to trainings and schoolings will further equip me as a police. This is me being the epitome of the core values of my beloved alma mater: justice, integrity, and service. Putting into heart, and most importantly, putting into action the deeds that will initiate the change in the community. Especially that few years from now, this new normal will just be a normal. The life inside the pandemic bubble will be synchronized to our system, proving, that's right, proving that we are a different breed of 21st century public servants. 5 years from now, I see myself within the promotable period of a police captain, with the power and the influence in the community, the rank to command quality input as well as output, to make plans and programs for the better living condition of the members of my community into a reality. Focusing on the grassroots level, I aim to reach those who are most likely to be forgotten in society, the simple Filipinos who in the pandemic world continue to strive to survive. As one of the leaders of the community, I will represent them as well as uphold their human rights. That is as part of my mandate, and provide new opportunities as a public servant in collaborating with other units. What would be my tool? Well, the tool I have chosen is a centered in God and community-centered mentality. In performing my duties as a member of the National Police Force, enforcement of the law in the country is never deemed easy. But the learnings I have gained during my stay in the academy will align my actions with the policies and regulations, and above all, the empowerment and observance of human rights. Soon, in the year 2022, graduating with a young age of 22, I am proud to be rallying the standard of a young police officer. As a member of the youth sector, my days as an inspiration to my fellow youth will continue as a mission for me. I want to be more than just a symbol for the youth, that even at a young age, they can aspire to become catalysts of change as a cadet and afterwards as a public safety officer. The question now is, how am I going to achieve my goal? The answer lies in my determination. I will be supplementing it with programs to raise awareness to the youth of my country to be involved in nation building. I have always believed that in the silver lining, which is the sparkle of hope in the eyes of the children, and that they have the potential in spearheading desirable development in the society. 5 years from now is a short term to materialize the hopes and aspirations of a better Filipino society. But with the right vision, consistent planning, thorough resource and manpower management, as well as collaborative effort of the community as it achieves a whole community approach. Together, we will be building a society brick by brick and live with a better society than we have found it. Day by day, my vision gets clearer. Dedication, commitment, and above all, patriotism will keep me propelling towards the obstacles of a post-pandemic tomorrow for the Philippines, for Asia, and for the whole world. Yesterday is over. Tomorrow is uncertain. But today is tempus progredi. The time has come.
Okay, for Augustine, your Q&A session starts now. To all judges, if you have any question, you may ask, and we'll start from Mr. Andres.
Hello, Augustine or August. Congratulations for your
Morning,
speech.
sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning in Philippines. Good night in here in Mexico. It's like 10 p.m. But you did a great job, I believe. You have like a lot of energy. You have a lot of passion. You have a lot of clarity. As you said, you have like a big goal, and then you have like your determination, and that will help you, going into that direction. As you aspire big, it comes like big power, right? And with a big power comes a big responsibility. If you like Spider-Man, you probably have seen that quote in the movies. But it's true, it's true that with big power comes big responsibility. With big responsibility, I believe, comes big commitment. And I think something I want to touch here, it's a potential, danger for saying so, which is corruption. Corruption is something that we are not exempt of in Philippines, in Singapore, in Mexico, in the US, and anywhere you want, right? So if you are a captain or, a commander, or however you want to grow, probably the more power you have, the more close or more interesting you will be to be corrupted. Not because you want, but because the system might be interested in you. So maybe you know more about the local context, of course, so you can share with us maybe a little bit of, what are those challenges that you could be facing as you grow as a leader, talking in corruption-wise, and what can you do to keep yourself, honest and straight and, determined to follow your values and not maybe follow the money or any other benefits that might give you?
Thank you for that question, Sir Andres. 6 months from now, I will be exiting or leaving the portals of our beloved institution, the Philippine National Police Academy. And with that, I will be facing the highest, if not the most intriguing standards of our community in our country. And with that, I will be having the rank of lieutenant at the young age of 22. But I don't see it as a primary problem for me as a leader and as a public servant, because I believe that our institution, my alma mater, has already provided me with the core values which will equip me into better serving our community and our country. I will be guided by the mandate of our national police force, which is the Philippine National Police, to serve and protect. If I will be encountering problems such as, let's say, perhaps corruption at the young age of 22, I believe that the values and the epitome that is being embodied by our alma mater will still remain inside my heart, and it will guide me in making the right decision, not only for my police station, not only for my community, but as a member of the public servant force. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Andres, for the question. And next we have Mr. Sean. Mr. Sean, you may ask your question.
Thank you. Thank you, August, for your speech. It was really lovely listening to you and your passion and dedication. Of course, you're very early in your career, I'd say pre-career at this point, but it's really great to see your motivation. I would like to ask you, so the speech is about the next 5 years, right? And you're just starting off. So in terms of just the next 5 years, obviously the police does so many different things in a country. So what is that one thing that you want to build expertise in? What would you like your juniors to look up to you for? That this is something that I can learn from August because he has really made a difference in the community because of this work. So what is that one thing that you would like to focus up on in the next 5 years?
Before I start to answer the question, the Philippines bids its greetings to you, Ms. Sean. For that question, what would I want to be remembered by my subordinates? As what I have said, I will soon be graduating 6 months from now at the age of 22. But what I believe the advantage I have is being a member of the youth sector. I am a member of the youth sector, and with that, with my platforms, as well as my vision in tapping and reconnecting the youth in the circle of our community, I will first build trust, or what we so-called trust building, because as a law enforcement officer, as a police officer, it is not necessary for me to enforce policies and regulations in my community, but rather, why not try a different approach? We have here in our country the whole community approach, which connects the different sectors of our community in creating and crafting better plans for the community. Say perhaps different problems in terms of education and connecting with the pandemic world, the effort of all the sectors of the community will help me as the leader of the police force in that community and stabilize a better program that will better cater the members of my community. I also want my subordinates to see me as the youth, full of enthusiasm and optimism that amidst challenges, especially now in the COVID-19 pandemic, I am ready to face all the challenges of my community.
Salamat.
Salamat, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chan, for your question. And next, we have Mrs. Alicia. You may ask your question.
All right. Thank you, Augustine. What a wonderful speech. And
morning,
you always,
ma'am.
yes, you always talking about community approach that's related to community policing, and you also are related to the maintain. That's the way to maintain the public security order. And this is similar theme with what event right now. Revolution and a retrolution, if I'm not mistaken, when I watched for the short video before this event is held. And one question for you, give me the example of the real youth action, because right now you are as a cadet. I thought that in your institution right now as a cadet, you also have a contribution in facing the pandemic. Give me the real action related to this community policing. Thank you.
Before I start answering the question, again, good morning, Ma'am Elisa.
Yes.
As members of the Cadet Corps of the Philippine National Police Academy, we did our part in helping our community, not only in times of the COVID-19 pandemic, but as well as different calamities and disasters encountered by our nearby society and community here in the Philippines. Say perhaps when we encountered the Taal eruption, volcano here in our place, we help by providing necessary assistance as well as manpower, because as we all know, cadets, we are physically able to help those who are in need, which will soon be a part of our embodiment as police officers and law enforcement sector. Second, in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, our community, the Philippine National Police Academy, continue to remain strong and inspire other communities to do the same. We strictly follow the rules and regulations as well as the policies of the quarantine and safety protocols, which in our country is very important, because as we are the Academy of the Philippine National Police, we represent the National Police Force sector, and who is better to represent than those who are following the policies and regulations for the safety during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Alicia, for the question. And thank you so much for Augustine for your great performance. We wish you the very best of luck. And we have last performance by Park Jomin. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, loud and clear. And the time will start whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll start. Hello, everyone. My name is Park Jong-min, and today I'm going to talk about the place of police in post-pandemic world. What do you think the role of the police is? As time goes on and the world changes, the role of the police has constantly changed. The police have existed from the old days when it has served as the citizens' vigilante. Of course, each country has their own specific organization, form, size, and history. But there is one commonality, as the police focuses on protecting national security and maintaining public order. Although police work is divided by various departments, they are generally doing a wide range of public actions. But today, I'm going to talk about police position in the post-corona era in two divided sections of the police. They are judicial police and administrative police. Depending on which tasks they focus and conduct, the judicial police focuses on investigating crimes, such as arresting suspects, and the administrative police focuses on activities to prevent crimes and maintain public order, such as traffic enforcement and protest crackdown. The reason why I divided the police into these two sections is because in the COVID-19 era, these two parts of the police are each having different changes. Based on this, I focused on how each police activities have changed before the COVID-19 era. Then we can use this to predict how the police work and role will change again in the post-pandemic world. Currently, many police activities are being carried out to prevent the spread of infectious disease. Among those, police actions that are reported in the media and generally recalled can be considered in terms of administrative police. By authorities and local government, there have been regulations banning multi-use facilities and the gathering of many people. In the case of Korea police, the police are imposing fines or imposing compulsory dispositions by the Infectious Disease Prevention and Management Act. However, it is actually the local government's job to detect violations of the COVID-19 quarantine guidelines and impose fines. I saw this as an opportunity for the police to work more flexibly in cooperation with local governments, despite task conflicts. What about judicial police activities? What has changed due to the pandemic? Statistics show that the pattern of crime has changed. Even a new crime method using COVID-19 has emerged. The data I referred to is a paper in an academic journal called Nature Human Behavior. And in this study, 6 types of crime rates, assault, burglary, robbery, vehicle theft, and etc., were collected from crime statistics around the world. According to the results of this study, self-isolation regulations resulted in the reduction of 5 other crimes, except for homicide. However, with the reduction of external activities, the proportion of domestic violence, hate crimes, cybercrime, and fraud increased significantly. These statistics are not only found at the Provincial Police Agency in South Korea, but also from global institutions around the world and global publishers. However, the criminal law systems for hate crimes and domestic violence are not well established yet. Recently in the United States, legislation on Asian hate crimes is being reviewed, and similar type of institutional reforms are being made due to the insufficient systems about digital sex crimes, hate crimes, and domestic violence. Based on this, the police will be able to cope better with the changing pattern of crimes. Then, how will the position of the police in the post-pandemic world change? The two points I focused on with COVID-19 were increase in administrative police work and changes in criminal patterns. First, in terms of police work, as COVID-19 demolishes, there would be no crackdowns on multi-use facilities and mass groups of people. So in the short term, police workload will decrease. However, I think the work system established by local governments and police during the COVID-19 quarantine crackdown should remain. In addition, since the police have been working hard on the public service front, it is expected that the sense of service and citizenship will be developed as a better police organization. Second, with the change of criminal patterns, I don't think the increased rate of domestic violence and cybercrime will decrease, although COVID-19 ends. Rather, these crimes are committed non-face-to-face, anonymously, and are easier to avoid police investigation. So more attention will be needed. In addition, efforts will be needed to safely control the overall number of crimes, as it will soar again in post-pandemic world. In the post-pandemic world, police will still work hard to protect citizens from risks other than infectious diseases and will develop further. someday that day will come. So if each country does their best with police organizations to fight the epidemic, we will be able to overcome COVID-19. Thank you very much.
Before Park Jamin, your Q&A session starts now. Maybe we'll start from Mrs. Chan. You may ask your question.
Thank you. 안녕하세요, Jongmin. Great to see you, and thank you for your speech today. I did notice that the topic that you had spoken on today is the last topic that we had. And so, as you may be knowing, the topic for today is what will you do for your country in the next 5 years? So I'm actually just going to ask you that as a question, which is what will you do in the next 5 years for your country?
Thank you very much, Judge Sean, for the question. Prior to my answer, I actually didn't notice that the topic was the last topic, so I beg your pardon. And what I think, actually, as I am involved in the Korean National Police University, the students of the police academy generally just becomes a police. So at the first time, I thought that there was nothing to do because I am just becoming a police and that nothing changes. But as I studied in the Department of Law here in school, I found that there are so many departments in police, such as informants or like information and the local policing and cybercrime and such as that. So actually, I haven't decided my what I should do in the post 5 years, but I am actually interested in international crime as such. So like, as you can see, I am in this tournament. So yeah, I think I'm going to develop myself in international crimes and like that, Interpol, such as things. Thank you for question.
Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best to embark on that journey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Chan, for the question, and we'll move to Mrs. Alicia. You may ask your question.
All right, thank you. That's related to the question of Ms. Chan. That's about your contribution. Assume that you are going to become a leader, a police leader in the future. What is your vision to decrease some those of the crimes that recently increased, such as domestic violence, cybercrime, and also fraud? Just one thing, just short, briefly explain. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. As you mentioned to me, like when I graduate, I'm going to be a leader. And specifically in Korea, when I graduate, I become a middle position leader. And related to domestic crimes and cybercrime and like that, I think the most current problem is there is no actually detailed guidelines for police to do their work, because actually when we investigate domestic crime, we have to invade in their home and do things such as dividing the parents. So mom and dad could be divided. So that's our really sensitive issues. So I think there should be very detailed guidelines for the police to do their work in the forefront to cope with these increasing current crimes as such. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Probably you have some kind of a campaign, stop domestic violence, even that becomes a sensitive issue, but I thought you can do it in the future with your brilliant ideas. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Alicia, for the question. And we're moving to Mr. Andres. You may ask your question.
Thank you very much for the space. Mr. John, I think you are very well prepared. I think you are, a very serious kind of person, dedicated, and I can appreciate that to your speech, and I really like that. Sometimes I feel maybe you could have like a little bit more of energy and passion, but to spice things up a little bit, maybe you can learn a little bit from your Filipino friends. I do understand, because Philippines is way hotter, so people in the southern area, like here in Mexico, we are more passionate because it's hot. But okay,
yes.
Going back to the topic, I think you did a great job. I think you're very well prepared. Congratulations for that. I would just when you said post-COVID, for me sounds kind of like a miracle. Because the flu didn't go, the common cold didn't go, the H1N1 didn't go, and many other diseases didn't go. They are never leaving. They are becoming part of us. We need to adapt to them, not them to us. So post-COVID doesn't really exist, but post-pandemic will. When will this happen? I don't know. We are not sure yet, right? At the beginning, we thought maybe it was just a few months. Then it's been already a year and a half or more. And we don't know, because this maybe a new strain and then it's another year or whatever. So I think instead of thinking about a future that we don't know when it will arrive, we should focus more on the present, on the during pandemic period, and that's what I would like to kind of ask you a little bit more. So I know that your duties right now in the present, in 2021 and 2022, might not be, might be very specific, right? But maybe by your leadership or your proactivity, you could do something more besides your job to contribute to your country in this pandemic period. So specifically in that aspect, what can you do? Right here, right now, 2021, 2022, in this kind of during pandemic time.
Oh, thank you very much for your question. And I think the things that you asked to me is actually very important in us coping with the current moment, because actually the police are acting depending to the regulations by the local government. And when we have to regulate citizens, that means that they actually lack a little bit of civil spirit to prevent and hope for the pandemic to end, such as wearing masks and not going to not going to many gatherings, such as religious things as such. So I think I should act not as a police officer, but just as a citizen of the South Korea, to actually follow the rules that are made by the local government. And when we see other people not doing their best to cope with these problems, then when we are not wearing these uniforms, when we are just resting or doing things as a normal person, we should talk to them, or so, hey, you should not do those things, or talk too loud in the public without wearing masks, or such as. So what I want to say is that I have to get more civil spirit to cope with these COVID-19 quarantines without the fact that I'm going to be a police officer. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you to you for your answer, and hopefully that civil spirit will inspire more people around you to also make the change, make the contribution, and then everything will be slowly but surely better. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for your wonderful performance from Park Jong-min, and that marks the end of our final round. And once again, thank you so much for all the amazing performances from all the participants, and also the questions and answers from judges and participants as well. And yeah, we get so many insights about the future work that our friends from across the world will do to their countries. And moving on to all participants, judges, and attendees in this Zoom meeting, you may please turn on your camera, because after this, there will be a photo session. Okay, thank you so much. It has been a great honor for us to host this competition. We hope that we can improve this competition in the future. And thanks for all the participants and judges in succeeding this event. Hope to see you guys in the future. I'm Samuel Juan as your host. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.